Hey everybody, Mr. Grove here. Today we are going to talk about the echinoderms. So this is the phylum Echinodermata. And basically these are the starfish, sand dollars, sea urchins, kind of oceany type things. We don't have these here in Bond County, but it's kind of cool to learn about them because if you go on a vacation to the ocean sometime, you will most definitely see some of these. So the first thing about them is their development. And so it's kind of a little bit of a ticky tack kind of thing. But if you think way, way back when we had that blastopore development, and blastopore was kind of that hollow ball of cells. And so basically, what it amounts to is animals where the mouth developed from or near the blastopore. Okay, that opening is the protostome. We call those protostomes. Okay, so if the opening develops into the mouth, the blastopore opening, those are protostomes, and those are what we've talked about so far: mollusks, annelids, arthropods, things like that. But now we kind of make a break. And so if that blastopore opening, once we get that first opening, if that turns into the anus, then that is going to be what we call a deuterostome. And that is echinoderms and chordates. And chordates are basically all of us, birds, mammals, reptiles, things like that. So it's definitely kind of a technical kind of thing, but it's a big divide. And so that's kind of why echinoderms, while they do seem simpler than arthropods, they can't fly, they can't do the cool insect kind of things, but we do kind of consider them more complex because of their embryological development. So these first deuterostomes were marine echinoderms, okay, and then they also, the first thing that they have is they are the ones that develop an endoskeleton. So it's not a crunchy outside; it's actually bones then on the inside. Okay, we do kind of have another seemingly setback though. We are now radial symmetry, and so you might be thinking, how can you get more complex if you're going to go from bilateral back to radial? But what that does is it's as adults. They do have bilateral symmetry as the larva, but as adults, they have a radial symmetry, and that's a common theme throughout. So whether you're talking a sea star, starfish, sea urchin, sea cucumber, sand dollar, or brittle star, those all have a radial symmetry. Okay, and so another common theme throughout the echinoderms. For basic characteristics that they share, they do have this calcium-rich endoskeleton. So hopefully we'll get to dissect that, and you can see that. And these are basically made of little fused plates called ossicles. The other thing is we have that 5-part radial symmetry as adults, so the larva is bilateral. But in the middle, there's what's called a nerve ring, and so this is really good. These guys have really good regeneration power. So if a starfish loses a leg, they can grow another one. If sand dollar loses a piece, it can go more. So that nerve ring is really good, and who knows, maybe someday we'll be able to tap into that regenerative power for humans. Water vascular system. So this is kind of an interesting way for moving and for feeding and for gas exchange. So the madreporite is going to be a little opening. So that'd be like right here on the sea star. And that's where water comes in. And then the water will leave through then like the tube feet. And so in one of your video clips, you will see a starfish that just kind of glides along with sand. And that's through this tube feet water vascular system. And so again, that kind of entrance point for the water is going to be the madreporite. And then lastly, just the coelomic circulation and respiration. So the coelom can move the food around, can move the nutrients around, can move the oxygen gases around. And so that allows for good, efficient movement on that. So Diversity. So starfish is what we typically call them, but I guess the official name would be sea stars. They are typically carnivores. We will see this in another video clip that we have. They're going to try and eat what they can. They're really good at eating bivalves. Those arms will kind of open up around the bivalve and kind of pull those two shells open, and then they can extrude their stomach out. And actually then digest whatever's on the inside. Brittle stars are the skinnier arms, and sometimes there's more than 5. And so these are more scavenger filter feeder types. And so that is a couple of the different types of what we would call starfish, the sea stars and the brittle stars. Another echinoderm, some other echinoderms are the sea lilies and feather stars. And so these are really cool. They're really feathery, kind of beautiful as they kind of move through the ocean. So feather stars are more mobile. Sea lilies are usually more sessile. And these are going to be other filter feeders, and a little different because their mouth's located on the upper rather than the lower surface. Sea urchins, so these are the pointy, kind of pokey, porcupine-looking things. If you've ever stepped on one of those, your day at the beach went south in a hurry. So that's the sea urchin. Sand dollars, you've probably seen those on the beach or souvenir shop. So we went down to Gulf Shores one year, and just the bottom of the ocean, about 6 feet, 5 feet deep, was just covered with sand dollars about the size of a quarter to half dollar. Sea cucumbers are going to be these little slug-like things. So the radial symmetry is more from a vertical aspect. No arms, and the ossicles are fused, but they basically eat sediment off the bottom. And so they're going to kind of, whatever they can find, eat, and then you'll see they kind of have a superpower of pooping in one of the videos. And then our sea daisies is kind of a weird one that doesn't have the arms, and one of the more recent discoveries as well. So that is the echinoderms and the phylum Echinodermata. So I hope that was helpful.